I'm Sophia, and I'm the woman who sold a 200-year-old family heirloom to save my sister's life. But here's what nobody tells you. It wasn't just about that one desperate decision. It was years of being the responsible one, the fixer, the person everyone called when things went wrong. It was years of sacrificing everything while watching my family take and take without ever giving back. Ever wonder what happens when the person who holds everyone together finally breaks? Well, that's my story. The first cracks appeared on a Tuesday morning. I remember it perfectly, the sun streaming through my kitchen window, catching dust motes swirling in the air as I gripped my phone tightly. My sister's voice came through cracked and desperate. "Soph, I don't know what to do," Eliza whispered, her voice barely audible. "The hospital says I need the surgery next week, but insurance denied the claim. They're saying it's experimental. I don't have $70,000. My stomach dropped. I knew Eliza's condition had worsened, lupus that had started attacking her kidneys, but I hadn't realized we'd reached this breaking point. "I'll figure something out," I said automatically, the words leaving my mouth before my brain could catch up. That was always my role, the problem solver, the steady one. After we hung up, I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the financial spreadsheet on my laptop. My savings would cover maybe a quarter of what she needed. My credit was already stretched thin from helping Mom after Dad left. The house I had just bought with my husband James was mortgaged to the limit. That's when my eyes drifted to the antique cabinet in the corner of my dining room where it sat, the Westbrook Emerald. A deep green gemstone set in ornate gold, passed down through 5 generations of our family. My grandmother had given it to me instead of my older brother or my sister, saying, "You're the only one who understands its value beyond money." The emerald was more than just a stone. It was our history, our legacy, the one thing that connected us to our past. It was supposed to go to my daughter someday, continuing the lineage. I closed my laptop without making a decision. That night, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, feeling James shift beside me, knowing he was awake too. Finally, I whispered into the darkness, "I might need to sell the emerald." I felt him go still. "Your grandmother's emerald? The family heirloom? Eliza needs the surgery. We don't have the money." James was quiet for a long moment. "Your mother and brother won't forgive you. You know how they feel about family traditions." He was right. My mother, despite her financial troubles, maintained rigid views about family obligations. The emerald was sacred, meant to be passed down, never sold. My brother Christopher, who'd always resented that our grandmother had given it to me, would see this as proof I didn't deserve it. "What choice do I have?" I asked, not expecting an answer. 2 days later, I made the call to a private collector my friend in the jewelry business had connected me with. The man spoke in a clipped, efficient tone as he named a price that made my heart stop. $85,000. Enough for Eliza's surgery and recovery care. I didn't tell my family right away. I arranged everything first. The payment to the hospital, the surgery date, the aftercare facility. Only when everything was secured did I call my mother. Her response was worse than I'd imagined. "You did what?" Her voice cut through the phone like a blade. "That emerald has been in our family for generations. It wasn't yours to sell." "It was given to me, Mom," I said quietly. "Grandmother left it to me. To protect, to keep in the family, not to sell the moment things get difficult." I bit back the urge to remind her how many times I'd bailed her out financially since Dad left. Eliza's life was at stake. There were other options. You could have asked for family help. You could have set up one of those internet fundraisers. You sold our heritage, Sophia. When I hung up, my hands were shaking. But at least Eliza would get her surgery. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. The surgery was scheduled for the following week. I drove to Boston where Eliza lived, planning to stay with her through the procedure and initial recovery. When I arrived at her apartment, my brother Christopher's car was parked outside. I hesitated before going in, a sense of dread building in my chest. Inside, I found my mother, Christopher, and Eliza sitting in the living room. The atmosphere was thick with tension. "There she is," Christopher said as I walked in, "the family traitor." Eliza looked pale, her eyes red-rimmed. "Soph, what did you do?" I set my bags down slowly. "I arranged for your surgery. It's all taken care of." By selling our family's most precious possession? My mother's voice was ice. Without consulting any of us? I made a choice, I said. Eliza's life, or a piece of jewelry. Christopher stood up, towering over me. That piece of jewelry was our connection to our ancestors. It was supposed to stay in the family forever. And Eliza is supposed to stay alive. I hadn't meant to shout, but my voice echoed in the small apartment. We could have found another way, my mother said. We could have come together as a family. I laughed bitterly. When have we ever come together as a family financially? I've been supporting both of you for years. I looked at my mother and Christopher. Every time your car breaks down, every time the rent is late, who writes the check? Me. That's different, my mother snapped. How? How is it different? Because that's what family does. We help each other. Exactly, I said. I helped Eliza the only way I could. By destroying our legacy? Christopher's face was flushed with anger. I turned to Eliza, who had been quiet. Do you want the surgery or not? Her eyes filled with tears. Of course I do. I don't want to die, Soph. But Mom says the emerald was meant for your daughter someday. Our grandmother wanted it to stay with us. Grandmother gave it to me because she trusted me to do the right thing with it, I said, and I did. But looking at their faces, my mother's icy disappointment, Christopher's rage, Eliza's conflicted guilt, I realized that this breach might never heal. In their eyes, I hadn't saved a life. I'd betrayed a sacred trust. The surgery is tomorrow, I said finally. I'll be there whether you want me or not. I left and checked into a nearby hotel. That night, I cried for the first time since making my decision. Not because I regretted it, but because I finally understood the cost would be far greater than an emerald. The next morning, I went to the hospital alone. I sat in the waiting room, checking my phone every few minutes, hoping for a message from my family. Nothing came. Hours passed. I paced the sterile corridors, drank bitter coffee from the vending machine, and waited. Finally, the surgeon emerged. The procedure went well, he said. She's in recovery now. Relief washed over me. Can I see her? He nodded. Family only at this point. I didn't tell him that I wasn't sure I qualified as family anymore. When I entered Eliza's room, I was surprised to find my mother sitting beside the bed. She didn't look up when I entered. Eliza was still unconscious, tubes and monitors surrounding her. The doctor says it went well, I said softly. My mother nodded, still not looking at me. We sat in silence for nearly an hour before she finally spoke. Your grandmother would be ashamed. The words hit me like a physical blow. She would understand making sacrifices for family. She sacrificed to keep that emerald in the family during the Depression. They nearly lost everything, but she refused to sell it. My mother finally looked at me, her eyes hard. You don't understand what you've done. I thought of all the stories our grandmother had told me about that emerald. How it had traveled from Ireland with our ancestors. How it had been hidden during hard times. How it represented our family's resilience. But I also remembered her gentle hands holding mine, telling me that family was more than objects, more than traditions. I understand exactly what I've done, I replied, and I'd do it again. She looked away. Christopher says he doesn't want to see you again. I don't know if I do either. And Eliza? I asked, my voice catching. She's alive because of you, my mother admitted, but some things can't be forgiven. I left the hospital feeling hollow. I had saved my sister, but lost my family. The weight of that realization was almost too much to bear. In the weeks that followed, I threw myself into work. My job as an architectural engineer had always been demanding, but now I welcomed the distraction. James tried to comfort me, but there was a distance between us too. He'd supported my decision but hadn't fully understood what the emerald meant to my family. Eliza's recovery progressed well. I received clinical updates from her doctors but no personal messages. I sent flowers, cards, even attempted to visit once, but was turned away by my brother who was standing guard like a sentinel. 3 months after the surgery, my phone rang with Eliza's number. My heart raced as I answered. Soph? Her voice was stronger than I'd heard it in years. Eliza, how are you? Better. There was a pause. The doctors say the surgery worked. My kidneys are functioning normally again. That's wonderful news. Another pause, longer this time. I don't know how to thank you. You don't have to. Mom and Chris are still so angry, she said quietly. They say you betrayed the family. I closed my eyes, fighting back tears. Do you think that too? I don't know what to think. I'm alive because of what you did, but that emerald, she trailed off, was just a thing, I finished for her. A beautiful, important thing, but still just a thing. It was our history. And you're our future, I said. At least, you're supposed to be. She was quiet again. I need time, Soph, to figure out how I feel about all this. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was something. A crack in the wall of silence. Take all the time you need. I'll be here. 6 months passed. Winter turned to spring, then summer. I heard through mutual friends that Eliza was doing well, even dating again. My mother and Christopher remained silent, their absence a constant ache in my life. Then, one rainy Tuesday, almost exactly a year after I'd made that fateful decision, there was a knock at my door. I opened it to find Eliza standing there, soaking wet, a small package in her hands. "Can I come in?" she asked. I stepped aside, too shocked to speak. She entered, looking around at the home she'd never visited before. "Nice place," she said. "Thanks." I found my voice. "Let me get you a towel." When I returned, she was sitting at my kitchen table, the package in front of her. I handed her the towel and sat opposite her, waiting. "I've been thinking a lot about what you did," she began, drying her hair. "About the emerald." I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. "At first, I was angry, like Mom and Chris. It felt like you'd erased a part of our identity." She set the towel down. "But then I realized something. You didn't erase our past. You gave me a future." She pushed the package toward me. I unwrapped it with trembling fingers to find a small velvet box. Inside was a pendant, not the emerald, but a small emerald-colored glass stone set in silver. "It's not the real thing," Eliza said softly, "just colored glass. But I thought maybe we could start a new tradition. Something that represents what really matters. Not what we own, but what we're willing to give up for each other." Tears filled my eyes as I looked at the simple pendant. "It's beautiful." "Mom and Chris still won't talk about you," she admitted, "but I can't keep pretending you don't exist when I owe you my life." That night, Eliza stayed for dinner. We talked for hours, rebuilding the bridge between us piece by piece. It wasn't perfect. There were still difficult topics we skirted around, moments of tension when family came up, but it was a beginning. My mother and brother remained distant, their silence a punishment they deemed fitting for my transgression. Sometimes I would dream of the emerald, see it glinting in some collector's display case, rather than worn by my future daughter. In those moments, doubt would creep in. But then I would remember Eliza's face that rainy day, alive and vibrant and full of possibility. I would touch the glass pendant she had given me and know that I had made the right choice. Family isn't defined by what we keep. It's defined by what we're willing to give up. Sometimes the most valuable heirlooms aren't things at all. They're the sacrifices we make for the people we love. 1 year became 2. Eliza and I grew closer than we'd ever been. She moved to my city, started a new job, began building a life that wouldn't have been possible without that surgery. Sometimes she would stop by unannounced, just to share a cup of coffee or watch a movie. James grew to love her as a sister too. My mother sent a Christmas card the second year. No personal note, just her name signed at the bottom. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was acknowledgement. Christopher remained steadfast in his anger, refusing any contact. Then, on the 3rd anniversary of Eliza's surgery, I received a package in the mail. No return address, but the handwriting was unmistakably my mother's. Inside was a small worn leather book, our family's recipe collection, passed down for generations alongside the emerald. A note fell out as I opened it. "Some traditions are worth preserving. Some are worth sacrificing for the right reasons. Your grandmother would have understood after all." It wasn't everything, but it was something. A recognition that family is more than objects, more than rigid traditions. Family is a living, breathing thing that sometimes requires difficult choices to survive. So if you're watching this and wondering if you're wrong for choosing a person over a possession, For valuing life over legacy? Let me tell you what I've learned. The most precious heirlooms aren't the ones that sit in cabinets collecting dust. They're the moments we fight for, the lives we save, the love we choose even when it costs us dearly. I don't regret selling that emerald. I would do it again in a heartbeat. Because some things, like watching my sister live and thrive and build a future she almost lost, are worth more than all the emeralds in the world. If my story resonates with you, if you've ever had to make an impossible choice for someone you love, leave a heart in the comments or simply type, "worth it." Share your own stories of sacrifice and healing, and remember, family isn't what we inherit. It's what we build, what we choose, what we fight to preserve when everything else falls away.